Ravens history, the AFC Championship game will be right here in Baltimore, and those words feel really, really good. Welcome into Project Game Day. So far, myself, Glenn Clark, KZ, Andrew Stecca. The rest of the crew will be trickling in. I know both Rita and Josh are at the game. And Femi said that he's got to wait. Femi apparently we learned today is superstitious, and he won't hop on until the clock says zero. So we'll get to him in a minute. But so much good here. Project Game Day is brought to you by Superbook Sports, AJ Michaels, and HelpMyGamblingProblem.org. Remember that if you or a loved one has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit HelpMyGamblingProblem.org for free confidential services. Boys, I was not all that worked up at the half. I mean, I said at the half, look, it's close. It's tied because of a punt return, right? Like it was alarming that the adjustments to the blitz didn't come until the half was over. But if we're being fair, the Texans had never blitzed like this. So I can give a little bit of a pass for why it took a minute to get to those adjustments. But the moment the adjustments came in the second half, and that was one of the things I said at halftime, the nice part about Todd Monken is he's really good at adjusting. He's it's one of the strengths that he's had. The moment they came, my God, that was the second half for the ages.
Yeah, I mean one of the things that kept you calm, I guess, is because these coordinators have been so good all year in making those adjustments. And it's something that, in years past we may not have seen because some of the coordinators were what they were. I mean, this was their game plan, and they were going to live or die by it. And you felt very confident. Look, I'm not going to lie. 10-10, as much as I wanted to push the 2019 behind me, at 10-10 it kind of creeped back into my forehead. And it's like, okay, confident but also concerned, I guess was it. But they made the adjustments. All the naysayers for Lamar can just go away now. And if you're not on his side at this point, just stop being a Ravens fan because it's just worrisome at this point, and it's just we know what it is and all that fun stuff. Um, he was great today, and as Andrew said, he put his cape on.
Yep.
And he did everything you expected. Even in the first half, yeah, he held the ball a couple of times too long. But quite honestly, he had nowhere to go with the ball. The adjustment that they made on offense to get the ball out of his hand quicker and stop doing the 15, 20-yard routes, combos and things like that, and to get guys to do more curls and more slants and more quick hitters. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. And then they do what they do best, which was run the football and dominate an inferior opponent. And they did it. It was great to see.
Yeah, I texted both of you guys at halftime that both these coordinators had a lot on the line because the adjustments were going to have to come. Obviously, at 10-10, okay, there was a punt return involved in there, which is a little bit fluky, but like it still felt precarious. Like you said, Casey, it still felt like there was 2019 thoughts, there was 2006 thoughts creeping into my head. Like I'm sitting here like okay, when are we going to turn this on? The coordinators did a hell of a job at halftime. The adjustments on both sides of the ball, I thought, were really, really important and really, really crucial. And kind of like this team has shown it can do all season long. They figured out a way to win a game that was not always going to be perfect. But at the end of the game, it's a 24-point win at home in a team you should have beaten. And they did handily. They came out, even though it was close at half. I mean, honestly, it was very reminiscent of the first game between these two teams in week one in some
Yeah.
ways. It was 7-6 at half in that game. It was 10-10 in this game. And the Ravens pulled away in the second half and proved to be the better team. But like, congrats to them for like doing it on a stage where there's a lot of pressure to do it.
It was spectacular. It was absolutely spectacular. The couple of things that jump out at me, the biggest adjustment being as I brought up the blitz at the end of the first half. Like the Texans blitzed on what 70% of snaps. in the first half, and you could just sort of see like, why are there no receivers anywhere near the line of scrimmage? What's going on here? I I think the Devin Duvernay return and just setting up some sort of positive momentum to begin the second half went a long way, but then following it up with that. And obviously, the question that we had asked so many times all season long, hey, there look like there are some more holes for Lamar, and he's not always taking them. He's not always running. Well, today, that thing that we had talked about, like maybe he was just waiting, maybe he was just picking his spots. Well, he picked his spots. And it was a game changer, of course, today. It was an utter game changer. Lamar choosing to take off in circumstances. Obviously, a couple of the plays were designed for that. The fourth down play, I mean, chef's kiss.
Beautiful, just
Just,
beautiful.
just
Brilliant.
spectacular. But it wasn't just that, right? Like the touchdown was clearly just him sort of deciding, that's what I want to do here. That's my play. Lamar running was a game changer, and that was always there. It was all season long. One of the things we talked about, and what was so encouraging about the Ravens, is they were this good, and we didn't know that they were 100%. And part of that was Lamar still isn't running the way he might choose to run in games that matter a little bit more. And as hell bent as he is right now, man, it was cool to see. It was just absolutely cool to see him pick his spots, deliver. There's no minimalizing. Like, look, Petre could have had an interception, but even if he did, that one wasn't on Lamar. That would have just been on Petre making a hell of a play to break off the receiver he was covering to go over and make a play on the ball, right? Like, how many bad throws did Lamar make today? Two? I mean, at most.
At
Like
most,
If
I
that.
don't even know if it was that high, Glenn.
yeah, I mean, it
Because
was.
you looked at the stats and people wanted to pick apart the stats and say, oh, Lamar is I saw some things on social media, same old playoff Lamar, and I'm like, what are you looking at, dude? He's 7 for 11. Um, I get it that he's holding on to the ball a little bit, but what are you watching? I thought he played great the entire game. He didn't force anything, into bad spots. He didn't throw the ball across the middle going off to his right. I just thought he played a masterful game.
I mean, let's call a spade a spade. He accounted for all four of the team's touchdowns,
Yeah.
two passing, two rushing. He accounted for 252 of their 352 total yards. Like he was the dude. He was that dude. He's the MVP and he played like it. Like it was awesome.
It was spectacular. How do we talk about the fact that the defense, like we know they played well. They didn't allow a touchdown all day. Like we know that the defense played well, and yet it wasn't because they were overwhelming in getting after the quarterback. They didn't get a single sack the entire day. How do we define how well the defense played today?
This same offense scored 42 against the Cleveland Browns last week. That's how I define it. I mean,
But I don't
this
know how
is
they did it. Is more what I'm
okay,
saying.
well, they didn't score 42. I mean, they had two pick sixes, but they scored 30 plus points, and Stroud had guys open all day. What they didn't do is they didn't put him on the ground, but what they did do is pressure him, and especially in some key third down moments, they did not let him get comfortable in the pocket on those third downs. There was one play where I think they didn't blitz and he found somebody in the middle for like a conversion on like 3rd and 14 or something like that. He found Collins. After that play, the Ravens defense, and there's the adjustment on defense, did not allow him to be comfortable on third down the rest of the game. And they came at him and made him make decisions early. As good as he has been this year, you're still dealing with a rookie quarterback. You're still dealing with an offense that, again, Collins is terrific. Schultz is a solid, but without Tony Dell, it's a different offense. I just thought the adjustment to bring the extra pressure from that point forward, again, they pushed the right buttons when they needed to.
Super Bowl 35 champion Femi Ayanbadejo is with us now. We'll get to Rita too because I can see she's freezing as she leaves the game. But Femi, I'll go to you first. We spent a lot of time talking about the adjustments and how this was the second half for the ages. And I had said one of the reasons why I wasn't really even nervous at the half is because like they've been so good at adjusting this season that I just kind of assumed it. What changed? What was the difference that in the second half this team looked purely unbeatable? No one could defeat that team.
Well, I think that early on, I think KZ was commenting. They gave up a few third and longs that you didn't expect them to give up, and then you let the punt return for a touchdown. I mean, if you're looking at yards, the Ravens were dominating them to some degree, but obviously a couple drives stalled in the first half. I think they just needed to kind of just get going. You know, a couple guys hadn't played meaningful football in 3 weeks. Hey, I'm glad you weren't nervous, Glenn. I was nervous
Really?
as that.
That's
Oh,
so
I was.
funny.
No,
Yeah.
I was nervous because I just know what the narrative is, and I know how important this is, and I hear all the talk, and I hear all the pundits, and I hear all the commentary on Lamar can't win a big game, and he hasn't done it in the playoffs, and the Ravens blew it in 2019. Now, that's not why I was nervous. I was nervous because you should be dominating a team, and this team played subpar because you made them play in a way that dictated pace and tempo, but they were tied. So what ends up happening is the time shrinks. All they need is another mistake, another big play, a
Sure.
turnover, another opportunity, and before you know it, dude, you're chasing a team that you should be dominating. And as you get tight, they get more confident and more loose. So I've just seen too many of these movies, and I'm not talking about the Ravens. I'm talking about competition. I was a three-sport athlete. I love baseball. I love football. I love basketball. I love the UFC. I love World Cup and Olympic soccer. I've seen teams melt that are better than their opponent because they let them stick around and they make mistakes. So I didn't think they would come out and make mistakes, but I'm not going to lie to you, man. I was nervous. I really was, just because it was 10-10. And I expected it to be 10-10 at the end of the first quarter, not 10-10 at halftime. But once the
Sure.
half ended, and what I love about the Ravens, now KZ hinted at something. On that third down conversion, I think it was to Nico Collins, and I think it was 3rd and 16. They showed they were going to play coverage. They showed they weren't going to bring any pressure. They were going to play back. They were going to let someone get open in front of them and come up and make a tackle. That was the only time all game that I don't think they disguised coverage on third down, and it bit them in the ass. And they didn't do that again. And I don't think they ended up with a sack. I don't think they got a sack
No,
all game.
0. Yeah.
They didn't get a turnover. I do think that Kyle Hamilton dropped that interception, obviously, but they were causing havoc and chaos still, like they always do. And the thing about the Ravens that I love is they just keep chewing on you and then chewing on you and grinding on you. And guys start getting hurt. Guys are jumping off sides. Guys don't want to play anymore. That's what they do. It's not like a one-time thing or it's the consistent pressure and the energy and the chemistry and the culture. It's just who they are. And I watch teams melt, and they've been making teams melt the second half of the season, and Houston melted. And let me say this, Justice Hill, my God, I'm still tripping out of all the critiquing that I made about Justice early in the season. And Reeta remembers this. You know, I think me, Reeta, and her mom were talking about this at the event, Glenn, that we were at for
Yeah.
Goose the other night with Sammy and Mike and everybody that was there. But I got to give Justice his flowers, man. My goodness, that man is balling. And Lamar put
Hey,
the team
can
on
you
its
add
back.
Rashad Bateman to that list too,
Oh,
please?
hey, listen, I was sitting here with my girlfriend. I was like, Rashad Bateman is playing. That man showed up today. And hey, Zay made a couple blanks plays too, right?
Yep.
And so my takeaway, though, is that Lamar is the general, and all things run through Lamar. And Lamar is the straw that stirs the drink. And Lamar showed the F up
Did
today.
he
And I'm so
ever?
proud for him. You know what I mean? So that's my little analysis on kind of like from beginning to end what I
Uh,
felt, what I saw.
Let's go to the stadium. Rita, hit on mute, please, because the other storyline that none of us has brought up is, and Rita can explain it more to us. Femi, you brought up the penalties. 8 pre-snap penalties today. Rita, this was a crowd that during the week we were worried there was a lot of tickets that were available for cheap this week. I think that got the real fans in the stands today.
Yep. Yep.
And can you explain how loud it was and what impact you thought that had?
It was loud. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've heard it louder over the years, but it was a loud crowd. And I'm as you can hear, they're still chanting. It was a loud crowd. It was a full house in here, despite that everybody was talking about, oh, they reselling for $60 or whatever. Well, people bought the tickets, y'all. They were here. They were loud. It was very good to see that the fans were loud. Where I was sitting, they were standing up essentially the whole time. I've had issues in the past where, like, I'm sitting in lower level and someone would be like, oh, they need to sit down. No, you need to go to the damn ballet. That's where you need to fucking go. Excuse my French. Go to the ballet, because this is a football game, okay? And I'm supposed to be loud. lewd and rude for 60 minutes. I want to say that what Todd Monken and Lamar Jackson was able to do in the second half was really good. Because in the first half, what you saw was Houston was in a position where they were actually daring Lamar to run. They were taking away the pass and they were daring him to run. And he didn't want to. Lamar wasn't interested in running. So obviously we don't know how this went, but I have to assume at halftime, Todd Monken was like, hey, you know you're gonna have to run, right? Because the way that the linebackers are set up, they're giving you 10 to 15 yards to run the ball. And Lamar started doing that, and it opened up a lot more things in what the offense was able to do once he got comfortable with being able to run the football. So Houston's game plan was very good, lasted for a half. But Todd Monken said, we still got Lamar Jackson, and Lamar Jackson can still do big things around here. So shout out to Todd Monken and Lamar for seeing how simple it was to change up what they needed to do, make the changes, and then the offense was able to move the ball fluidly in the second half.
The biggest difference in the first and second half, though, was the offensive line play, though. You know what I mean? And just remember, the Lamar had two big runs in the first half. Like the issue is that Lamar didn't have time. Like once Houston made the adjustment, because remember, Houston doesn't really want to bring pressure. That's not DeMeco Ryans' MO.
Not at
They
all.
started bringing pressure in the second quarter after Lamar broke off a 20-something yard run and a 16-yard run. That was in the first quarter. In the second quarter, Lamar didn't even have time. Like, I mean, he was under duress. And like Reeta said, it worked for a quarter, really. It worked for a quarter because the first quarter, Lamar was doing what he wanted to do. The second quarter is when Houston said, oh, no, we got a counter to your counter. Chess move. And then as Reeta noted, Coach Monken, Lamar, the offense went in. Offensive line, I'm sure Lamar got in that ass a little bit and said, hey, yo, you guys are not blocking. You guys are not doing your damn job. And
He was doing it.
They came out in that third quarter.
He was doing it on the field, right? Like he was getting after them
he was getting on that ass,
the field.
But that's what they need. But guess what, though? When he started running and doing his thing, who was he showing love to? Who's he hugging?
Ronnie Stanley.
He's hugging Ronnie Stanley. He's hugging everybody. He's hugging all the linemen. And what I love about Lamar right now is that it's not fake. It's real. Like the whole Lamar locked in Jackson thing is real. And people are not like when you are in the NFL and you get cussed out by your teammate or you get yelled at, there's no time for sensitivity. There's no time to respond other than to say, I got you. I'm going to get it right this time. And that's what I love about the league. Guys are not sensitive. If I go to work and I cuss you out because you do some terrible shit, you're going to like, oh, we need to fire Femi. He's being mean to me. No, not in the league. No, we understand that this is like a rare opportunity and guys don't take that stuff personal. It's just business. And at the end of the day, they hug it out and they say, hey, cool, we're going to figure it out. And I just love the directness of it. And Lamar was doing that. And that's the biggest evolution of Lamar, other than, of course, being more prescient in the pocket and understanding that he can get 30 anytime if he's patient. Like he understands that. But the ability to say, I am going to lead and I'm going to lead hard and with tough love, and I'm going to love, but I'm going to be tough, and to own it and for everyone to love it and to respond positively, that's an amazing thing. Because some locker rooms don't have that. Like look at Philadelphia. They imploded from the inside. The Ravens didn't do that. They rise to the occasion, and I love that. It's about that culture.
I want to cover a couple of things, and I want to let some other folks get in because obviously, the entire city is fired up. There's about to be an AFC Championship game in Baltimore for the first time in 50 years. But before we do that, Femi, because you brought it up, Goose Flights is available now, and we are really excited about it. It means a lot to have partnered up with Sammy Siragusa and the Goose Flights Foundation. And Goose Flights is available at Guilford Hall Brewery as well as at Costas Inn, and available in both those locations as 6-packs. By the way, Femi, I have a 6-pack with your name on it, and I'm going to get it to you this week. So I know it meant a lot that you and KZ and Reeta were all out, and it was just a really special night. But you can go get it at those locations as well as the Maryland locations of Glory Days Grill. And $1.98 from every can sold is going to the Goose Flights Foundation and the work that they're doing to provide non-emergency medical transport to those in need. That's a big deal for us. So I asked this question. KZ, Steck, and I were talking about it a little bit. The defense, to your point, Femi, didn't have a turnover, didn't have a sack. And yet we know they dominated, right? Because they didn't allow a touchdown all day against CJ Stroud, who had been playing brilliantly down the stretch. How do you define, how do you explain how well the defense played today, despite the fact that it didn't translate to those huge plays that we're used to.
Pressure, chaos, and just an excellent game plan disguised everything. Like I said, they only didn't disguise their coverage one time, and they got burnt on it. And Coach McDonald, he's gone, dude. He's going to be a head coach next year. Yeah, Todd Monken, he might be gone too. Like I'm just being honest with you guys. I'm not to dampen the mood in the moment, but
is there any hope that like the longer they keep playing, that these other teams get itchy, trigger fingers and start hiring people?
They see what we see. They're gonna be out there waiting in the cold with their gloves and their beanie on. They're gonna wait. They're gonna wait. Hey, I'm waiting. They're gonna be like, hey, I'm here waiting. The thing is that it's so, Glenn, it's so funny that you mentioned that, because I was thinking the same thing. And I think this is the issue with not being able to watch a game. If you just look at the box score, you'll see it was, what was the final score? 34-10 was the final score.
Yep.
But it probably should have been 34-0. You know what I mean? If you think about it, they get 3 points on the same drive that I believe that interception was dropped, and they got 7 off of a punt return. But the thing is, though, is that I'll take it how it happened, because I think that just lit a little more fire under everybody to be like, oh no, we're not gonna give up anything. And I think the chaos and the havoc and just the pure off balanceness that they created in regard to CJ Stroud, and mind you, everybody's drinking the CJ Stroud Kool-Aid, and they should be.
He's unbelievable.
He absolutely earned it, but we are not.
He's a great quarterback.
Yeah,
absolutely.
We're not the Cleveland Browns, though, and they're not in Houston. This is a whole different galaxy. And I think a lot of people, and I heard a lot of people saying this during the week, oh, Houston's going to give them a run. Houston's giving them a run. They're going to be in the game. They're going to cover the point spread. That's way too many points. And I was like, I think they'll cover for a quarter. That's kind of where my head was. I think for a quarter they'll be in the game. And yes, they were in the game for a half. But we got to just commend, once again, the biggest thing for me is always about chemistry, collaboration, and culture. And the Ravens have all 3 in spades. I'll stop there.
All right, let's pull a couple of folks in who have been hanging out, waiting. Our guy Troy was on with us almost from moment one. Troy, hit unmute. I know how fired up you are, buddy.
I am. Hi, family. How y'all doing? Man. I'm excited. This, man, let me tell you something. Lamar Jackson, boy, I'm proud of him. The adjustments they made in the second half was phenomenal. I got to give a little shout out to Dalvin Cook for him being 16 days into this franchise. He showed a little glimpse in the second half of what he can do if you let him loose. I got to give a shout out to Dalvin Cook. Good job, buddy.
Femi, Reeta and I talked about this on the show a couple weeks ago. Reeta is very much in the camp of you couldn't judge Dalvin Cook by what was going on in New York because everything in New York was so miserable that how do you judge?
And was I wrong?
What did you make, Femi, of what you saw in the first little taste of Dalvin Cook and how that might be able to continue helping?
Man, it's like you have Justice Hill and you have Gus Edwards, and this is Dalvin Cook. He is the perfect blend of the two. Slash ability and power. And we saw it on that first carry. What was the first? Was that 16 or 15 yards? I don't know how long it was. I mean, but and the thing is, remember, he's running the ball when they know the Ravens are trying to run the clock out. It wasn't like there was a bunch of lanes there. And by the way, as a former running back, obviously I know the run schemes, like I see the holes. And you give Dalvin a little bit more time, he had a cut back on a run. He probably would have hit his head on the goalpost. I love what I saw, Glenn. And I'm hoping that as he gets another week of practice under his belt, that he'll get a little bit more run. But the truth of the matter is, Justice is doing his job. Gus is doing his job. I know Gus got banged up at the end there. I don't know if it was his hand or his wrist or his elbow. I couldn't see what it was. But I think Dalvin can be a nice little problem for the defense, for the opponent.
That's right.
And I think as they work him in, I really like what I saw. He's just a great combination of size and speed.
He was it was 19, by the way, on that first run
19.
for Dalvin Cook, 19 yards.
Yeah.
The other guy we haven't talked about at all. I just wanted to continue. So first Ronald Darby made a huge play early in the game, right? Yeah. But Arthur Millette is one of the most incredible stories of the 2023 Ravens. I think it's going to end up being a name. Look, if they win the Super Bowl, we'll have a lot of names.
Is he Lamar's cousin?
Is Arthur Millette related to Lamar Jackson? Is that for real?
Who's the DB that was Lamar's cousin? Is that not Arthur Millette?
No, that was no. I know exactly that was. No, it was another guy they signed.
Okay.
Oh God, that's gonna drive me
It's all
nuts.
good. It's all
I'll,
good.
I'll
I'm
come up
sorry.
with it.
I'm sorry. I thought it was Arthur.
Trayvon Mullen. Trayvon Mullen
Oh,
was the
Mullen.
guy
Okay,
that was
Okay.
yes.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, Trayvon Mullen was his cousin.
Okay.
But what this cat has done this season and continues to do game in and game out, pressing the duty. By the way, they did all this today without Marlon Humphrey, right? Like they did all this today. This is the part that really makes your mind kind of explode, right? They did all of this today without Marlon Humphrey and without Mark Andrews, and they might have both of them next week.
Hey, Isaiah Likely, though, he's coming to his own. So,
Oh my
we haven't
goodness.
missed a beat. You know what I mean?
Bro.
The confidence. Hey, how about the swag, though? How about the swag? I mean, it's crazy. He's out there punking dudes like, get off me. Don't talk to me. He's shimmying. He's just got, there's something special about Isaiah's mind. Like, he's got a beautiful mind. Something about him. He's just got something about, he's always chill. He's always calm. And like he told Lamar, remember the first one, Lamar was through a pick and Isaiah was like this, nice and calm.
Yeah.
And Lamar's like, I got you. And guess what happens? The next
time,
right over the top. Dude, it's like, that's the communication, man. It's like, oh, it's lovely to see that.
So while great that is, just imagine when Mark Andrews comes back.
Uh-oh.
That's nasty. That's scary times, y'all. That's scary times.
Reeta, I'm gonna say something that needs to be said. I just hope when Mark Andrews comes back that this all remains the same and Lamar doesn't fall in love with getting the ball to Mark Andrews.
He won't.
This offense,
I'm not concerned. I'm not concerned about that at all.
I think it's so good right now.
Casey, don't do it, Casey.
I'm not concerned.
I'm saying
don't do it, Casey. Don't be
do
that
it.
person, Casey.
Don't be
that dude who doesn't know for sports. Don't be that guy.
I'm not concerned one bit. I'm not concerned at all.
I had somebody at Starbucks tell me they don't want Mark Andrews to come back because he's going to ruin.
Oh, I didn't say that.
And they
that's basically
sound
what you're saying, though.
And they sound dumb as hell.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't.
Oh, really?
I said there's a concern.
Can we talk about the impossibility of how to defend those two cats if they're on the field at the same time?
The truth of the matter
how about the idea that we're arguing over the fact that there are too many options on a Ravens?
No, Casey is worried about there being too many options. Casey's worried about that. I'm not worried about that at all.
That's insane. That has never been stated in the history of this organization that there are too many offensive options.
The truth of the matter is that Mark Andrews is going to have a package. He's not going to be the starting tight end. Let's just don't get it twisted.
Yeah.
He's not just going to come in. No, he's not even ready for that. Listen, did you guys watch Mark Andrews run last week? I watched him run. I don't think he's anywhere close. I don't think he's ready to go out there and play a game. I'm just telling you what I saw. And maybe I didn't see everything that other people saw, but I saw a nice little clip. He's got a big, heavy sleeve on his leg. He's got a brace on. Like, that's what I saw. I don't know what day of the week that was. And guess what? That could have been from a week ago. I don't know when that was, but he's not ready to play 30 or 40 plays. He's probably ready to play, if he plays maybe 10 or 15, it's just going to be another piece. This is going to be another weapon. It's going to be glorious.
Maybe he can be ready in 3 weeks in Vegas. That'd be great.
If we get there, I think he'd be ready for that. And that could be a real thing. That could be a real package that'll be a real problem. You know what I mean?
That'd be nice.
Troy, I'm going to pull you out of this the main room for a second because I'm going to bring in our guy John Proctor. Has been hanging on for a minute, and I know he's fired up. What's going on, buddy?
Just enjoying the game, man. Like, just little scary for a second there. Nobody could touch CJ Stroud, but I mean, second half they came out and looked like they got stuff straightened out and never looked back. So it was amazing.
It's just striking me too. Like the monumental nature. We said it at the start of the show. Like the Ravens are hosting an AFC Championship game. Femi, you won a Super Bowl and you never got to play an AFC Championship game in Baltimore, right? Like no one that's ever worn a Ravens uniform has ever been able to play an AFC Championship game in Baltimore. Like the monumental nature of that is really hitting me in this moment.
Yeah, even my brother didn't get to do it, right?
Right.
No one's ever done it. It's never happened before. You know what I mean? In the history of the Ravens, right? I mean, it's never happened. So it's and I think
it's only been Baltimore Colts. Yep.
Yeah, I'm trying not to be emotional is not the right word. It's too early to look back yet. It's too early to look back. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't need to we got to be in the moment, and we have a game next week against a really. I think it's going to be Kansas City. Personally, I don't know what. I just have this feeling. I feel like it's going to be KC. KC's defense is nasty. I think they're going to force Josh to make mistakes, and I think they're going to win a tight game, probably like 24-21, 21-17.
Femi, is that who would you want it to be,
I
right?
don't care, dude. I don't care.
Okay.
Honestly, I'm done with that. I'm done. Like, so many people ask me questions about what do you think about this? I go, I love how they're playing. I don't care who comes. Bring them all. We want all the smoke. And I'm not going to talk any trash. I'm not going to say anything because people try to get me to say stuff, and I'm done with that. I'm done with all that. I don't care about that. This isn't about me. Like, this is the crazy thing. And yes, I am paid to give my opinion on occasion, right? But I really want to just support this team as a former Raven and just be at the back of the bus, pushing it forward. I'm not going to critique anything crazy. I'm not going to make any crazy statements about what's going to happen and how it's going to happen. That's not how we do things. We walk quietly and carry a big stick. That's what we do in Baltimore. That's what we do as Ravens players. We show up and play on Sunday, and we let the pads pop and talk. That's what we do. And I think that to honor that culture and that concept, I can't say I want somebody. I'll take whoever shows up. Yep. Whoever shows up, let's get in that ass. That's what we're going to do. My point is that I can say good things about Buffalo, and I can say challenging things about Buffalo, and I can say good things about the current champion, and I can say some things about them that I like about that matchup too. So I really see them as two good teams, and I don't care who comes. I'm just ready for whoever shows up, and I can't wait to watch it.
I just hope that they beat each other up. Just beat each other's ass up. And when you come in Tennessee Bank, just be beat, battered and bruised because y'all done beat each other up so much. That's all I care about because I'm with Femi. I don't care who it is, honestly. But I just hope when they come in here, they've all like been beating each other up. That's all I ask.
Hey, what company has the expertise and technology to make your home substantially more energy efficient, comfortable, and even virus-free? It's AJ Michaels Heating and Air Conditioning in Baltimore and Annapolis at ajmichaels.com. Hey, Carson, can you post that tweet that Stecca sent us about what Lamar Jackson accomplished today? Because Ryan Mink from the Ravens shared this out. Like, I do think we talked about this a lot this season. Sometimes we take it for granted, right? Because we're used to it. That wasn't the one. That one's good. Don't get a third career.
I thought you want a picture. I thought you wanted one with a picture.
No, that's all right. That's all right. Third career 100+ rush yard game in the playoffs, most by a quarterback in NFL history. That's not surprising. But yeah, 2 rushing TDs, 2 passing TDs on the day. I just
hey, Glenn, 74% or 73% completion percentage.
Right.
That's got to be a record, right? I mean,
it's nuts.
That's nasty business, baby.
And add into everything you see there.
Completion percent is nasty.
So here's the numbers. Lamar Jackson's the first player in NFL history to have 2 passing touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns, 100 rushing yards, and a 100+ passer rating, all in the same game, playoffs or not. No one's ever done that in a regular season game. What he did today in a playoff game.
I can't wait to hear what they say on Monday. You know what I mean? Like, I just want to know what the next critique is going to be.
Hey, Femi, fuck them.
Hey, you know what though? I haven't said an F word. I have not said the F word yet today.
I'll say it for you. I'll do it for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, but Femi, Rita's right. It's over. Whatever they say, we know what they are now, because there's no more questions to be answered by Lamar. He's answered them.
No, I mean, I think that he's answered the one that needed to be answered today. But I think as a guy who's always shooting for a championship, for Lamar, all the questions won't be answered until he has a Lombardi on his shelf. I mean, let's just be honest. And that's the bar he set, that he told us when he said, y'all gonna get a Super Bowl out of me, right? Those were his words. And he's been holding himself accountable to that. Nothing else matters. And I think, KZ, what I'm referring to is more the pundits that don't watch games, but they want to critique.
Oh, no, I agree.
You know what I mean?
Right. I agree with you. And they all have something to say about it.
Yeah. And they can't say anything about this game. That's a fact.
They can't say, but what they can't say now, Femi, is that he's never done it in a playoff game, and that he can't throw the ball and all that stuff. It's like if you're doing that now. Well, no, if you're saying that now, we can't take you seriously. You're just a hater.
We can't take you seriously. Yeah. No, there's honesty and there's a critique. And if people are saying that now, it's like you got to leave the room. I can't take you seriously because you're not talking like truth and fact. You're letting your emotions, because you made some statement about Lamar 6 years ago, you're still carrying that as if somehow you're going to be right one day. You're not. It's like constantly shorting a stock and saying the stock's never going to do good, and then it has a down day, and you're like, see, I told you,
Right,
it was
told you.
terrible. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
right.
Like, there's these people that do that, and we know who they are, and we just got to ignore them. I don't play with kids when it comes to adult stuff. You know what I mean? I'll let the kids stay at home.
I like that. I like that. Leave
Femi,
the kids at home.
to your point, right? Like, and I think we've all appreciated. I think one of the things that we here have loved the most about Lamar, it has been his obsession about winning a Super Bowl, right? And it's something that I think we've all noticed this season is how, and you try to explain it to people. I do radio hits all over the country, and you try to explain like this cat is different. And it's the little things that we see. You brought up, him going after the offensive lineman. We saw those videos in the Dolphins games of guys, hooting and hollering on the sidelines, and he won't allow them to. Like, he's saying, dude, there is too much time left. We're not doing that. We're not celebrating until the game's over. And even then, there's a limit to how much we're celebrating because it's just a football game. We're not going to pretend like we won the Super Bowl today. It's so difficult to put into context because there's no stat that we can use in order to define it. But the logged in nature, the in the zone of Lamar Jackson is it really is almost unlike any athlete we've ever seen in this city.
You know what's crazy, Glenn, is that when I look at the posturing, and I don't mean posturing as a negative. This is not me critiquing what I love is the evolution of Lamar Jackson, because it's more intense, it's more focused, it's more than I ever could have expected. He's like, I have a high bar. Like, in my mind, like the way that I think about stuff, the stuff I would never say out loud because it's too early for me to know like where the top is. He's gone way past anything that I thought he would be able to do as a leader, as a vocalist, in regard to speaking out, in regard to how he is unflappable. He's stoic. He doesn't let the bullshit get him off track at all. And maybe in the past, when they said, "Oh, he's a running back," he wanted to prove that he could do it from the pocket, or he wanted to prove something. He's so mature now. He knows it's not about them. He knows that they don't have anything to offer him. He can't play that game. He'll never win that game. If he just focuses on the prize, which is the Super Bowl, and his teammates and his coaches and what this organization stands for and the expectation, I keep saying the word culture here, right? He has raised it and lifted it in a way, I'm telling you right now, I could not have foreseen. And what I saw before was good. It was really good. Of
course.
I knew he'd get better, but this is way beyond that now.
I've always been reckless, right? Like I've said, I'm comparing it to Aretha Franklin. Like, I feel like I'm watching a genius. I feel like I'm watching an artist. Like, this is beyond just watching a football player. It feels like I am watching a genius at the height of their gifts, a Da Vinci, whatever you want, Jimi Hendrix playing the guitar, whatever you want to call it. And it seems reckless when you say that out loud, right? Like, it just seems hyperbolic whenever you say it that way, because my God, it can't actually be that. But what you're describing, it just feels like we're seeing something that it's very difficult to encapsulate truly what it is that we're seeing, because it goes far beyond just like good football.
Well, just think about this for a minute. The Ravens are the first team in NFL history to beat 10 winning teams in a season. And they didn't just beat some of these teams.
They kicked their asses.
They demolished them. So, like, my natural instinct is when I keep seeing a stock that's supposed to be up 30%, is up 180%. For those of you that follow, like NVIDIA, which is like an AI company chip maker, they're doing things that no stock's ever done in history. Lamar is like NVIDIA. Like, if we're looking at the stock market, that's what Lamar is right now. And you're waiting for it to pull back 10% or 20% or just come back to reality a little bit before it starts to go up again. No, it's just a rocket ship right now. And it's not even the play that I'm talking about. The play is otherworldly. You said, Glenn, it's true. He's a savant. Everyone knows he's a savant as a quarterback. He is. He's just different than anything we've ever seen. But it's his demeanor, it's his attitude, it's his resilience, it's his character, it's his humility, it's his positivity, it's his authenticity. It's all these things that I'm blown away by, which allows him to go out there and play free. It allows him to be authentic because he has embraced all the character traits that people that are leaders and change whatever world they're in. Lamar's doing it, and we're watching it, and it's awesome.
So to speak to what you were just speaking about, this is phenomenal. Lamar Jackson said at halftime today he did most of the talking, and there was a lot of cussing. John Harbaugh in postgame described halftime as edgy. It's the way that he described it, Lamar. But this is everything that we've been talking about, right, Femi? Like that's who he is. It's the command he has of the football team. It's the guys they're not taking it the wrong way. But a lot of people, and I'm sure your brother would back this up, Anquan Bolden was this guy. Anquan Bolden would walk into a locker room and put the fear of God into people because he wasn't someone that talked a ton, right? Like he was a fairly quiet guy.
Yeah, yeah.
And then he would be the guy. Like there was a famous game in Cincinnati where he went into the locker room and these guys, like the hairs on their arms stood up. They talked about it for days afterwards, but it wasn't in a way that it was ripping apart the team or it was causing problems. It was, holy F, did we need that guy to say that in that moment? We needed him to go to the bully pulpit and pick us the F apart because we needed it in that moment. And that's the comparison that I give.
And you know what's amazing, Glenn? I'm so happy that you brought up Anquan. I played with Anquan for 3 years in Arizona.
In Arizona, right? Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I saw firsthand he is one of those guys that walks quietly and carries a big stick, right? But when it's time to do something or say something, you know, we had an awesome group of guys in Arizona. And I just wish that Denny Green was still alive because I've made this statement before that there is a thread of Denny Green in Baltimore because it came through Brian Billick. Brian Billick was a coordinator in Minnesota when Denny was the head coach. I got to observe all of it. I might be one of the few people that saw the transition from Minnesota to Baltimore. I'm still here to observe it. And I got to play with both coaches, win a Super Bowl with one, go to an NFC title game with the other. And I can see it. I can speak to it. That's a whole nother show and a whole nother book.
Yeah.
But my point is, this goes back to Anquan a little bit. Anquan was probably one of the hardest runners with the ball in his hand as a receiver. He was really built like a running back, 6'1", about 230, 225, but he did not mess around and he did not play. And I wish to God I could have been in that Ravens locker room. And I know that him and Joe really had a huge, huge impact. Jacoby did too. A lot of guys did on that 2012 Super Bowl, right? But Anquan is one of those people that I think if you had to ask him, he'd probably say he's a Raven. He's probably not a Cardinal. He's probably a Raven because I think the Ravens culture and who Anquan is as a human were a perfect match. And that get him. And I wish they kept him around just a little bit longer, to be honest. But his stint was. We won't go there. We won't go there. My point is, though, is that he's the kind of human that when I think of a Raven. And I wish. And I got to be a Raven before I got to be a Cardinal. He got to be a Raven after he was a Cardinal. But that's just an awesome thing to hear, Glenn. And someday when you and I together, I want to hear a little bit more about that story.
So real quick, the other thing I would say too, how much did you guys think the Isaiah Likely catch was reminiscent of the Bolden catch in the AFC Championship game in New England?
Big time.
I had such
for sure. Yeah.
The Bolden vibes of that catch were like almost over. That you put the ball here, one of us is getting the football. Period. That
was the same play that the Ravens ran against New Orleans when Mark Andrews was hurt and scored a touchdown. The exact same play.
It was just a little bit further back, but same play.
Yeah, exactly. Exact same play.
God, that's a fun play. What a fun play that is, right? Like what a cool call. Everything about it. And it was obviously a half of cool calls. We talked before about the fourth down call. That what an imaginative, perfect, brilliant call for the moment. Lined it up, even got me to bite on the idea that because Gus Edwards is so good in short yardage situations that you're like, they're just giving the ball to Gus Edwards. He's going to go get that yard. That's the end of it.
They ran that same play against Seattle or Detroit, the one where Lamar scored. They ran the
turned around. Exactly right.
It was either, I don't remember, maybe Carson. Yeah. Find it. It was either Seattle or Detroit. They ran that exact same play.
It's such a cool call. God, it's such a fun one, man. I love everything about that one.
What are they going to do? Not tackle Gus Edwards?
Right. No, he's so good in those short yardage situations that like you have to pay all of your attention.
Coach Monken, he's in his groove. Because remember earlier in the year, we talked about how the play calling seemed disjointed. Like he was trying to figure out like what his groove was, and he's found it. And I think the most important thing in the NFL today is that the run game has to be married to the pass game. And that marriage is stitched together through play action. You know what I mean? or showing the exact same thing and then adding a wrinkle to it, right? And Coach Monken has been masterful probably since about week 7, 6, somewhere in there. I mean, he's had moments of brilliance, but it was, like I said, it was disjointed at times. But he figured it out. And think about this for a minute. You have a guy who's the coordinator on defense, been here 2 years, right? Yes, he was a position coach before, but he's been a coordinator here for 2 years. Coach Monken came from Georgia, right? Has coached in the NFL before, but he's only been the coordinator for less than a calendar year, I believe, right? How long has he been working with these guys? And remember, Lamar wasn't under contract when he got signed, right? Think about what they've been able to do in regard to the classroom and the evolution of this offense, the marriage of run and pass, the keeping of the Greg Roman run game pieces that were brilliant and matter. They still run all that stuff. And then marrying Coach Monken's strategy and system and beliefs with it. It looks perfect.
Gonzalez is going to jump off. Love you, buddy. Appreciate you. KZ's going to the game next Sunday. He's fired up. He gets to go to a AFC Championship game in Baltimore. We've been waiting for that day. Andrew Steckers.
I was told that I was told I need to come. I need to go to the game next week. Now I said, well, who paying for my ticket?
Yeah, they are not cheap, man.
Rita, even if you're not going to the game, we got to tailgate together. Let's go. Let's do this.
All right, come on, Andrew. Now you know I'll come out for you because we didn't do Arizona, so I'll come out for you.
Go.
But I was told today, because I said I'm not interested in going to the AFC Championship, and everybody's like, "Why?" And I was like, "Because my nerves are gonna be bad." They're like, "Well, your nerves are bad today. You have to be here." I'll come if somebody gives me a ticket.
You know something? I told Glenn this earlier in the week that I was planning on coming back, flying across the country if this team was going to play in an AFC Championship game. It's something I've never seen. It's something none of us have ever seen, obviously. There hasn't been an AFC Championship game in Baltimore in my lifetime. I wanted to attend the first one, and I'm going to. I'm coming back. I'm pumped.
Special. It's really special.
Like it's one of those things that you don't want to miss. And I'm pumped for this week coming up, like the build up to it. And Glenn, I know you're going to be on all week, like talking about this game. This is going to be a fun freaking week in Baltimore, and I can't wait to like enjoy in the pageantry building up to it. It's going to be like, it doesn't, Femi, you nailed it on the head earlier. It doesn't matter who the opponent is. Regardless, it's going to be an incredible matchup. You're going to get Lamar versus either Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes. Either one is great. Like the build up to this week is going to be off the chain. It's going to be one of the more fun weeks in Baltimore sports history leading up to this game. I'm really pumped for it.
All right. 2 games. So the second game has started today. 2 games tomorrow. Superbook. Femi, love you. We will talk to you next Sunday. Appreciate you always, brother. And I'll talk to you this week. I got a 6-pack for you that I will get to you somehow this week. All right. Thank you, buddy. That's our Super Bowl champion, Femi Ayanbadejo. Tomorrow, Buccaneers, 6-point dogs against the Lions. Chiefs, 2.5-point dogs in Buffalo against the Bills. Go to superbook.com, download the Superbook app, use the code GlennClark23 when you sign up. I don't know what else there is to say. This was a great day. It was a great day to be a Baltimore Ravens fan. It was a great day to be in Baltimore. Next Sunday.
Fantastic.
Is shaping up to be one. Look, however it goes, just that we can finally say we've had one of these things, that it's that's gone. That anomaly no longer exists. That the Ravens have never hosted an AFC Championship game is truly special. Rita, love you. We will talk this week. Andrew Stecka, can't wait to see you in. Troy, John, everybody, thanks for hanging out.
Woo!
Carson, thanks for your hard work tonight. We will see you guys back here following the AFC Championship game next Sunday. Yeah, man. For PressBox's
It's time, baby.
Project Game